Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today for part 2 of my birthing experience during lockdown. So I'll be continuing my birthing story for you of everything that happened from once I arrived at the hospital. So after I had my bath, I then went and had a little snooze. Just because I thought I'm probably going to end up being in labour for quite a while, and I'd been woken up around 3 in the morning with my first initial pains, and then I was awake from about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. So by this point, like 3:30, 4 o'clock, I just thought if I can try and have a little bit of sleep now, then at least I'll have a little bit more energy. So I tried to have a sleep and I managed to snooze a little bit, but I obviously just kept waking up every time a contraction was coming, and then over time the contractions were just starting to get stronger and stronger and stronger. I think I got to about 6 and I was like, do you know what, I need to go to the hospital now. These contractions are getting so strong that I need something stronger to take the edge away. I can't cope with the pain. The paracetamol that I'd been taking all day had just suddenly wasn't touching it anymore. I imagine it was probably still helping a little bit. I imagine if I hadn't been taking it at all, then I'd probably be feeling a lot worse. I was as relaxed as I could be from all the lavender oil and clary sage and everything. So at that point we phoned the hospital back up, and then when the midwife was asking me the questions again, I was really struggling to speak to her when the contraction was happening, and so my husband had to just keep jumping in. So by that point she was then like, yeah, it sounds like you could do with coming in now, so if you want to make your way, we'll get ready for you. I asked again at that point whether the birthing pool was available. So in my area at the hospital there's only one pool, so it's a bit of a lottery as to whether or not it'll be available for you. So luckily it was still available, so they said they'd start getting it ready for me, so that it wouldn't take quite so long to fill once I got there. So we then got ourselves ready, got everything in the car. The hospital bag was already by the door, so we knew what we needed. I ended up having way too much hospital stuff, so I'll do another video about what you really need to pack as a first time mum if you go into the hospital. You really don't need as much as what I packed. I must have looked like I was moving in or something. So anyway, so we then set off to the hospital. We got there it was about 6:30 in the evening. When I first arrived at the hospital and my husband was parking the car, and I went in on my own onto delivery suite, and they got me into the room. The midwife said something to me, and then I just suddenly like burst into tears, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She's like, "Is it just because it's happening?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll be alright in a minute." So be prepared for that as well. I think I felt quite overwhelmed at one point when I was at home, but when I got to the hospital, that's when it really hit me that it was happening and I was about to become a mum. And your hormones are going wild anyway, and it really does just completely take over. So don't worry, like let yourself just have that little cry, like kind of just get it out of your system. And I was absolutely fine, like there wasn't anything wrong with me. I wasn't worried, I wasn't scared, I wasn't nervous as such. I was just it was just the reality of it all hitting me. So the midwife was lovely about it, and I imagine she sees it like a million times a day, so it's probably not something that that is unusual for them. We got all checked in. My husband could come straight in with me onto delivery suites, so they let him in, and then when I arrived they just did an examination just to see how dilated I was, and I'd managed to get to 5 centimetres at home, which apparently is really good. So you know, there is something about staying at home, being in your own home environment. It's nice and relaxing, and ultimately the more relaxed you are, I think the easier your labour will progress. I was quite surprised that I was sort of halfway there as such, but obviously being halfway dilated, you still don't know how long it's all going to take. So we got there at like 6:30 in the evening, kind of thinking, right, we're going to be here in the long haul, it's just going to take us ages. We're going to be here for you know, probably the whole night. It's my first baby, first labour. It's not going to, you know, be something that happens quickly. Once I'd done all the checks and everything, I then had, I was finally given the gas and air. So I knew that's the kind of pain relief that I wanted, and I really wanted to try and have my labour without having any other kind of pain relief. If I could manage the pain myself, then I wanted to, because I just thought, you know, the less that I put into my body, the less that will transfer to her, and there's, you know, recovery's quicker, and I think it just makes a bit of an easier experience overall. I think you'll know in yourself what kind of pain relief that you want, so you might have an idea in your mind of, I want this, or I definitely don't want that, but have some flexibility, because I think once you're actually in it, you might well change your mind, and if you do, it's absolutely fine. Don't feel bad at all if you suddenly go in astray from what your birthing plan preferences was. But I was managing quite well, so once I started getting the gas and air, I was feeling fine for a little while, because it just makes you just a little bit high. And then I got into the pool, and the midwife was lovely, so she put lavender oil and mandarin oil in it, and it was just really nice and relaxing. The birthing pool is quite deep as well, so it's when you think of giving birth in a pool, it's not like being in a bath, but it's also not like being in a swimming pool either, so it's quite deep, so then you can get yourself into different positions, so that whatever's the optimal position for you for giving birth, you've got that opportunity to do that. So I just found, once I was in the water, once I knew I was at the hospital and I knew I was in the water and I was on the gas and air, I felt comfortable again, and I felt more relaxed, and I felt like, right, this is it, this is where I'm meant to be, this is where I need to be. Oh, pardon you. Where I'm meant to be, where I need to be, and I can do this now. I can get my head in the zone, and then just kind of kept myself concentrated as much as I could. So one thing that I did that I think made a big difference was I watched a video about different breathing techniques. So one of the things for me is there were no antenatal classes, so there was no bump birth and beyond because of lockdown. So the only information that I had was purely what I'd researched for myself. So one of the big things that I knew of was breathing, and if you breathe in the right kind of ways, then it can really help you. So I just looked at lots of different videos on YouTube and just started practicing them a couple of weeks before I gave birth. So again, I'd really recommend doing that if you can. One of the things that I didn't do enough of, and hopefully this means that you'll be able to do it, I didn't practice enough of the breathing to do at the very late stages, so in your pushing stages. So I felt that by the very end I was struggling quite a bit, but by that point I was long past the point of no return, so by that point I wasn't going to be able to have any other drugs or anything like that, because by the time they kicked in she probably would have been here, so it just wasn't worth it. So I think for my husband that made the last bit a little bit tough on him as well, because he was suddenly seeing me in quite a lot of pain, couldn't really help to do anything. He didn't know himself what kind of breathing I should do to be able to try and like remind me of what to do. So just try and learn that, and try and learn it together with whoever your birthing partner is, because it'll make a difference. But for me overall, I just feel like even though we were in lockdown, even though the rules were really strict, and we could only have your partner in at a certain point, I felt like I always knew that I was going to try and stay at home for as long as I could anyway. So, and for anybody, I'd really recommend that, because ultimately when you're at home, you're just more comfortable, aren't you? You've got everything around you that you need. You've got familiarity. And I just think if you can put yourself in that position for as long as possible, then the whole thing will just be a little bit easier. My husband had said to me afterwards just how relaxed that I was for like pretty much the whole labour. And I honestly think by just keeping myself relaxed and focused on just working with my body and getting her out, I really think that did make a big difference for me. So, you know, you hear quite a lot of, you know, horror stories and things like that, but I felt really, really safe when I was at the hospital. I wanted a hospital birth anyway, because I'm a great believer of, if something was to go wrong, I want to be in the best place possible that gives me the best chance of survival. And for me, that's being in a hospital, because that's where the doctors are, that's where, you know, that's where your medicines are, that's where things that can really help you are at. So for me, having to give birth in the hospital wasn't an issue. And for the hospital trust that I'm a part of, at least, the room that I was in as well was really nice and really relaxing. There were lots of candles around. They had all the aromatherapy oils as well. So even though you were in a hospital room, it didn't really feel like a proper hospital, like a hospital ward that you might be used to. I just found that it was really relaxing in there anyway, so there were they had candles lit for me, so that it wasn't really bright lights. It was just, you know, nice low lighting, which just made it feel more relaxing and more homely. There were aromatherapy oils going, so again, that just helped to add to the relaxation. And because I'd been using them for a couple of weeks beforehand, I was just kind of used to those kind of smells and how they were making me feel. And I honestly really felt so safe, and I know a lot of people worry about how safe it is. I think all of the hospital staff are doing absolutely everything that they can to ensure that they are being as safe as possible around you, and also doing everything they can to ensure that you are as safe as possible as well. They had all of the PPE equipment on at the time, and because of how things are now, and we've got a little bit more knowledge about the virus, I just think that they've already gone through this first wave. They've learned quite a lot from that, so I just think that they're going to be so much better now. And I think one of the key things is just remembering the things that you want, and don't be afraid to ask questions and advocate for the things that you want. That they're still going to provide the service that they need to provide, so try not to worry too much about it. Overall, for me, from going from the moment that I got into the hospital to giving birth, it was just under 4 hours altogether for me, so 3 hours and 57 minutes from when they started counting the clock on my first stage of labour into my second stage of labour, so the pushing stage. I was only pushing for 23 minutes, so you know, even though these are really, really scary times, it can still go nice and smoothly. It can still be a nice, easy process for you. One of the biggest things is that you've just got to get yourself into the right mindset for it. So one of the ways that I was coping with every contraction and it getting stronger and stronger was just imagining that I was doing a really difficult workout, and you've got, you know, 5 reps left to go, and then you have a strong contraction, 4 reps left to go, and just kind of keep, as the contraction's quite strong, you just kind of count yourself out of it, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1. Sometimes you had to say 1 a few times over, but I just found counting like that, because because I'm used to doing workouts and things like that. For me, that just really helped to keep my mind straight. So find something that works for you, whether it's imagining that you're doing a difficult workout and you've just got a few more reps to go, and once you've done those reps you're going to feel better, and every time, you know, the contraction, you know, it did ease off, and then you could do, you know, get your breaths back in and then go again, and you know at some point your workout is going to finish, so you know at some point your labour is going to be over, and I think just kind of having that, for me, made a big difference. So one of my close friends told me about that as a technique to use that worked for her, and because we both like doing workouts, she thought that that would be just a good thing to mention. So it's finding the thing that's right for you, and just, you know, I think just the fact of keeping myself as calm as I could and as relaxed as I could, I think that did genuinely make a big difference. I just think it's true what they say, you know, working with your body, working with your hormones makes all the difference in the world. And as well, just remember, every contraction that you go through is one little step closer to meeting your baby, one little step closer, like every single time, and like just those little tiny steps, that makes a big difference. So just find something for yourself that you think is going to really work on for that. And I think especially because of how the world is at the moment, and people are a little, you know, you're probably a bit more scared than you normally would be about giving birth. So if you can really just try your best to think of something that you're going to be able to focus on, it's just going to help you so much. So for me, I can't thank my friend enough for telling me how she coped, and using that kind of a technique, you know, using breathing techniques, using positive affirmations, if that's what works for you. Just start looking into the different things that are going to work for you, and you'll be surprised at how much of a difference that they can make. If you've got any questions or comments about my birthing experience, then please do pop them into the comments, and I'll do my best to answer those for you. And likewise for anybody that's watching, if you've also been through labour during lockdown, if you have any really good tips that you can give other people, then again, please pop those into the comments. I do think that it will be so beneficial to so many women out there who are due to give birth in the next coming weeks and months. And please stay tuned for part 3, which I'll be posting up in the next coming days. So thank you so much for watching today. I hope that you've really enjoyed the video, and for those of you who are about to go through labour and give birth, good luck. I hope everything goes well for you, and I hope that you found some reassurance from this video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it for me today. If you've enjoyed it, then please hit the like and subscribe button. I will really appreciate it, and thanks again for watching. Bye now, thank you.